Thank you for tuning in and welcome to Hobby Tips. Today we are going to talk about poster putty, or elephant snot, or let's just call it the duct tape of wargaming. I take it most people out there already use poster putty to some extent when painting their miniatures. But there is a ton of uses, and some of them might, some of the ones I'm going to present here might be new to you. Some of them might not. But in any case, if you have some uses that I missed that you think are really cool, drop them in the comments below, and I'll do a part 2 sometime in the future where I share even more uses. And just to be clear, I haven't been able to cram all my uses for it into one episode either. So, first of all, I use them to stick my models on paint cans, old paint cans, when I paint them. This gives me a good grip, and there is, it's just easier that way. And as any painter will tell you, you should always mount your mini on something when painting them. And I like to paint them with their bases on. In the rare instances where I'm not doing that, I just drill a hole in the foot and pin them to the can instead. But for the most part, this does really well, I think. Also, when painting stuff like these Primaris Marines, I use poster putty to put the gun arm on, so that when I reach the point where I want to paint the chest detail and the gun details in here, I can just take the gun off, paint that, and then I glue it on. So yeah, that is by far the most simple use for poster putty, but I found, especially when playing skirmish games, that I use it for a lot. When playing Frostgrave, for instance, we've used this as spell markers, simply placing a bit of poster putty somewhere on a mini that has received a certain buff. So, for instance, let's say this guy had been turned invisible. I'll just put some poster putty on his head. Not looking very good, but that doesn't matter because he's not there. He's invisible. Or to show wounds, I can. Let's say the Space Marine has plenty of them. I'll just add poster putty as he suffers wounds. This also saves me from having a die next to him, taking up space or being turned over so I don't know how many wounds he had left and stuff like that. And also, when gaming, let's take this little assassin for our example. Let's say she is trying to get up and kill somebody on the top of this tower, but can't go all the way. Of course you can just say, well, she's here, let's remember that. But you could also just take some poster putty, put it on where she is at, take our model, and put her in there. Much easier, we know where she is, line of sight issues when shooting at her is nullified pretty much. And especially in skirmish games like Frostgrave and such, I found I do this all the time. Because in some games your minis can crawl up any wall at any time, at any height, and it's just easier to keep track on where everybody is rather than having to say, oh, this guy was this far up, this guy was this far up, or oh, no way, these 3 guys could crawl to this height on this ladder, because then they would occupy the same space and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the reason why I always have it with me along with my dice and stuff. Of course you should varnish your models and your scenery, and if you're playing on somebody else's gaming table, be sure to ask them if it's okay that you use poster putty on it. I haven't yet seen it rip off paint when using it in gaming like that, but it certainly could, I'm sure of it. Especially there are many different brands. I at some point got some blue poster putty that basically turned everything blue when I added it, and well, then I knew that that brand was way too cheap. Another very nice use for it is let's say we want to connect these with a walkway. Often, again, especially in skirmish games, it can be quite a game changer whether a walkway is here or here. You couldn't really see that, I think. We'll lift it up a bit. But it can mean a lot where a walkway is exactly, especially if our assassin is here and want to charge a... Oh, especially if our assassin is here and want to charge a guy over here. If during one of the player turns the bridge slowly moves over like that, then the charge distance would have become way shorter. So, obviously, the easy solution to that is, again, a little bit of poster putty on the scenery piece or under the bridge, and fasten it down. Now it's not going anywhere. Also, if you're using MDF scenery or cardboard scenery and stuff, lightweight scenery, it's really neat, I think, to be able to poster putty it to the table. I used to play with all homemade cardboard scenery, and it was always moving around. Somebody would bump into the table, a die would hit it, and it would spin and stuff like that. And a bit of poster putty solved that. And when playing on my Frostgrave mat, I like to add a lot of small pine trees standing by themselves, and they can't stand by themselves. So I always put some poster putty under those. Actually, they just have a gulp of poster putty under them permanently, so that I can just place them on the table and they'll stay in place. And another pretty cool thing is, if you have poster putty in 2 different colors, you can even have them as different markers down on the base trim, so you can say, well, the white ones are wounds, the blue are, I don't know, this or that buff or stuff like that. So that's pretty neat. Some spell effects in Frostgrave, and probably in other games as well, like say Wizard's Eye from Frostgrave, I also used poster putty and actually painted up a little Night Goblin eye that I then attached some poster putty to, so that I could place my Wizard's Eye and draw line of sight from it without having to debate where exactly I placed it and stuff like that. So yeah, for gaming, I definitely think it's a good idea to have poster putty. Also, neat little tip there. This is the poster putty that I have in my workshop. It's filled with dust and leftover paint pigments and stuff like that, and I use that for attaching models' paint cans and nothing else, because I don't want to accidentally add weird paint leftovers and stuff to miniatures or scenery. So I suggest having 2 different stores of poster putty for different uses. Another use that I've been talking about quite a lot here on the channel, and that I really think everybody should get used to, is when painting, especially if you use citadel paints, they love to fall over. That's what they do, and especially the big wash cans are prone to falling. One solution to that is a bit of poster putty. Fasten them to the table, and now you actually have to want it to fall over before anything happens. Another thing that I'm doing quite a lot these days is that I take a small palette, some poster putty, and then attach the can to the palette, because then I can still move the paint around, but it has a nice big base, so to say, so it doesn't fall. And I can put leftover paint on the palette, or use it to control exactly how much is on the brush. So that's quite neat. And finally, when you are working in your painting space, I definitely suggest using poster putty to add some of all the guides and references, stuff like that you want to have, because safety pins, not safety pin, push pins can be useful now and then, and stickers are stickers, but purity seals or painting guide reference material, stuff like that, should definitely be attached with something, or models you have standing on parade. So yeah, poster putty, elephant snot, klebemasse, blue tack, poster tack, tack, the duct tape of Wargaming. Be sure to always have some, and don't buy it in bookstores. I did once, it was expensive. Then I found it at the local hardware store, and it was really, really cheap. And don't buy it too cheap online. I, as mentioned earlier, bought some blue tack on eBay, and it turned out to be, it was not doing anything other than coloring stuff. Blue, it wasn't holding anything, and it was hard and weird. So I suggest go to a real physical store where you can see the product and can at least get an idea of what you're buying. Yeah, but that's it from here. I hope you found it useful. Again, post below your unique poster putty uses that I missed in this tutorial, or in this video. And if you want more hobby tips, be sure to like and subscribe. As always, this has been Aaron Painting Hobby Tips, and take care, and bye bye. One solution to that is a bit of poster putty. Fasten them to the tape. Oh.